Students across the province are back in school, but at least one Brock professor thinks that the return to school was a bit rushed. In fact, in a Globe and Mail article back in July, I believe it was, he called it a collision course with reality. Joining us now, Brock University professor Dr. David Hutchison. David, a collision course with reality. Can you explain what you mean by that?
So in addition to being a teacher educator, I'm also a certified project manager. And so I really approached that article in the Globe and Mail in late July from the management perspective. And in project management theory, it's really important to have sufficient time to plan, particularly for major projects. And the reopening of schools during a pandemic is probably the most major educational project that schools in the province have pursued, in 100 years. So it was significant. The problem was that we didn't have enough information back in July or even early August from the province in terms of what their requirements would be for schools reopening. And that only came, in mid-August. And that left only a few short weeks, under a month really, for schools to develop their specific plans for opening for their students and their teachers and parents.
You are concerned about major risks to public health with students returning to school. Our own medical officer of health in Niagara said that with the way the numbers were looking in mid to late August, that a return to school was probably well timed for the beginning of September, but you disagree still.
Well, here's what I think has happened. Sort of a compromise between what I was proposing and what the Minister of Education was proposing initially was that school would start in very early September. It would start on the same day for all students. But in the end, school boards have really approached this in a staggered way. And so really school is starting in mid-September. We're seeing, which I think is very wise, the early grades, for example, in DSBN starting on one day and then slowly ramping up with the upper elementary grades and then the next day, and then the upper elementary grades and the day following that. And that allows a ramp up time so that as students arrive, there's an opportunity to sign a field test, whether things are working. If they're not, then they can be improved for the next day. So I think that was a smart move that school boards made. And I give credit to the Ministry of Education for also enabling that to happen when they received those requests from school boards. So I think that's helped.
Hundreds of thousands of people across the province signed an online petition about the reduction of class sizes, but yet many school boards haven't really made the step yet to reduce those class sizes to 15 and under.
What happened was, I think that there was some people who were counting on a percentage of parents choosing remote learning for their students. And if that happened, then we would see a reduction of the class sizes for those attending school in person, because there'd be some students that were being taught remotely. But those students who are being taught remotely also have to be serviced by certified teachers. So that meant there weren't as many teachers available for the children being educated in school. And so that meant that those classes had to be increased in size. And so that's what's happening. I'm heartened by the fact that I read at the Niagara Catholic District School Board's website that they are able to hold their classes, at least that's what they're saying, below the provincial averages. So that's encouraging.
When would you have liked to have seen the return to school? Would you have liked them to wait for another month?
So in the Globe Mail article, I believe I posited October I didn't say when, as a possible time to return. But what I did say that was really important was that the first month of school should be used as a field testing. So it wouldn't be just that all students were being taught remotely in September and then everyone returned to school on the same day in October. The idea was to have an opportunity for elementary schools and secondary schools to field test with small groups of students in the fall. And in a sense, that's what we're doing. It's a bit more rushed than I'd like, everyone's going to be going back over a period of 2 weeks rather than over a month. But nevertheless, I give full credit to school boards across Niagara, across the province. They really got their act together and planned, worked with their school board trustees and administrators, teachers, principals. And, I think everyone's doing the best they can, and we're in relatively good shape.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. Professor David Hutchison, thank you for joining us from Brock University today.